Have you ever stopped to think about what makes a villain truly unforgettable? Is it their menacing appearance? The power they hold over others? Or is it something deeper? A story of pain, betrayal, and revenge? If you're a fan of great villains, you've probably noticed that the best ones aren't just evil for the sake of being evil. They have a past, a motive, a reason behind their actions. And that's exactly what we're gonna dive into today. Get ready to explore the darker side of the characters who left their mark and became etched in our memories. And in today's episode, we're taking a closer look at a villain who fooled everyone with his cuddly, welcoming appearance, only to reveal a shocking ferocity underneath. The most evil teddy bear to ever grace the screen, LOTSO from Toy Story 3. LOTSO, or Lotsa Huggin' Bear, is the kind of villain you'd never expect to exist. When we first meet him, he's a giant plush teddy bear with soft pink fur and a sweet strawberry scent. At first glance, he seems like the kind-hearted leader of Sunnyside, a place where toys are supposed to be loved and cared for by children. But soon we discover that behind that warm smile and cuddly appearance lies a story of pain, betrayal, and resentment, one that turned him into one of Pixar's most complex and disturbing villains. So get ready, because we're about to uncover the true story of LOTSO, the teddy bear who became a ruthless tyrant and one of the most memorable antagonists in the Toy Story franchise.
Put him back in the timeout chair.
LOTSO makes his grand entrance in Toy Story 3 in a way that doesn't immediately raise any suspicion. When Woody and his friends arrive at Sunnyside Daycare, a seemingly welcoming place where toys are treated with care, LOTSO introduces himself as the leader of this toy haven. He's a large, plush teddy bear with soft pink fur and a sweet strawberry scent, which instantly creates an emotional connection with the children and even the toys themselves. His appearance is innocent and comforting, the perfect image of a stuffed animal made for hugging and protecting. And that's exactly the impression he gives, a warm and caring leader who promises that no toy will ever be abandoned or forgotten at Sunnyside.
I'm Lotso Huggin' Bear, but please call me Lotso.
As Toy Story 3 begins, we're introduced to a setting that at first glance seems like paradise for any toy. Sunnyside Daycare is a place that promises to shelter and care for toys, offering them endless fun and affection. But who is the leader of this safe haven? LOTSO. And early in the movie, he appears to be everything a toy could ever wish for. Picture the scene: LOTSO, a big cuddly teddy bear with soft pink fur and the sweet scent of strawberries. The perfect toy to snuggle with at night. He's friendly, welcoming, and even presents himself as the one responsible for making sure every toy is well cared for and loved by the children who come to play.
Boy, what a nice bear.
And he smells like strawberries.
With his gentle voice and kind demeanor, LOTSO quickly earns the trust of the new toys arriving at Sunnyside. He goes out of his way to create a sense of security, telling them that here, they will never again be rejected or abandoned, something many of them have likely experienced in their past homes. To him, Sunnyside is a place where toys will always be loved by countless children, who will continuously come and go, ensuring that no toy is ever left without someone to play with. He even shares the idea that by not having a single owner, the toys would finally be free from the heartbreak of being discarded, replaced, or forgotten. A true utopia for any toy, right? But LOTSO isn't just a leader who cares about the well-being of the toys. His affectionate attitude, the way he treats everyone around him, with comforting gestures, friendly words, and an ever-welcoming gaze, is the perfect mask to conceal something far darker. At first, it's hard to see that anything is wrong. He seems like a trustworthy friend, someone the toys can rely on. But this is just one piece of a much larger and more terrifying puzzle. Now that we've seen LOTSO in action as the seemingly friendly leader of Sunnyside, it's time to uncover what truly shaped this charismatic yet dangerous teddy bear. After all, every villain has a story behind their actions, and in LOTSO's case, his past is the key to understanding his cruel and ruthless behavior. LOTSO wasn't always this way. Before becoming the feared ruler of Sunnyside, he was just like any other toy, a simple plush bear with an owner, a little girl named Daisy. To LOTSO, Daisy was more than just his owner. She was his friend, his companion. He lived for her, did everything for her, and of course believed she loved him just as much. LOTSO and Daisy had a genuine connection, and the teddy bear believed his life would always be like that, by her side, cherished and valued. To truly understand LOTSO's actions, we need to look deeper into his emotions. In his case, it's not just about envying what others have. It's about the loss of something he thought was his forever. When we first meet LOTSO in the film, we don't immediately realize that he is a soul devastated by betrayal, unable to cope with the pain of abandonment, and it was this bitterness that fueled many of his cruel actions. LOTSO's life took a devastating turn when Daisy, for reasons he couldn't understand at the time, replaced him. Little Daisy grew up and left LOTSO and his friends behind, choosing new toys instead.
She replaced us. Come on.
To LOTSO, this was an emotional blow so deep that he never recovered from it. The feeling of rejection was overwhelming, and he couldn't comprehend how Daisy, the one he had given so much love and devotion to, could so easily discard him. He went from being a beloved toy to a forgotten one, lost among others who had also been left behind. This moment of abandonment was the trigger for LOTSO's transformation. From a sweet and loyal teddy bear, he became bitter, resentful, and filled with pain. By the time he and his friends finally made their way to Sunnyside, LOTSO was no longer the joyful and welcoming toy he once was. His experience with rejection had shaped him in an irreversible way. LOTSO had everything a toy could ever wish for. He was loved by Daisy, his owner, and shared a genuine bond with her that made him feel important and valued. But this sense of security and belonging was completely shattered when he and his fellow toys were replaced. From that moment on, LOTSO's jealousy wasn't just about being forgotten, it was about losing his special place in Daisy's world, a loss he simply couldn't accept. LOTSO didn't just lose his owner, he watched as other toys continued to be loved while he remained trapped in a world of loneliness and rejection. That jealousy, that feeling of being tossed aside for something newer and better, fueled his bitterness and resentment. And that is what transformed LOTSO from a once beloved toy into such a complex villain. His jealousy and anger led him to develop a twisted belief that love between toys and children wasn't real, that toys were nothing more than disposable objects, and that love was an illusion meant to be shattered. So when Woody and the others arrived at Sunnyside, LOTSO saw them as a threat, not just to his control over the daycare, but to the place he still believed he should have in Daisy's heart. He couldn't bear the idea that other toys could be loved and cherished by a child while he had been left behind. Jealousy drove his actions, leading him to manipulate Big Baby and other toys to help him maintain his grip on Sunnyside.
He took over Sunnyside, rigged the whole system.
By the time he arrived at Sunnyside, LOTSO had become cold and calculating. He decided he couldn't let other toys go through the same pain he had endured. The heartbreak of being forgotten led him to create a distorted philosophy about the life of toys. Everyone is disposable, he believed. Suddenly, there was no more room for hope or love. To LOTSO, toys were merely playthings for children to use and discard once they got bored, just as Daisy had done to him. This feeling of disillusionment and betrayal is what drove him to rule Sunnyside with an iron fist, controlling the toys and imposing his own emotions onto them through questionable and oppressive actions. But being abandoned wasn't the only factor that shaped his cruelty. When LOTSO realized he could control the toys at Sunnyside, he turned his bitterness into a hunger for power. He used his leadership to manipulate others, hiding his own emotional wounds behind a facade of authority and dominance. He wanted to make sure no toy would ever have to feel the sting of rejection again. But in doing so, he became the very thing he despised. He became the oppressor, the villain, and he could never go back to being the hero he once was.
Whoa there, Missy. You're not going anywhere.
Now we arrive at one of the darkest and most calculating aspects of LOTSO's story, his plan for revenge. But when we talk about revenge, we're not just talking about a simple act of retaliation. We're talking about a meticulously planned strategy, the product of years of pain, resentment, and obsession. What LOTSO orchestrates is a form of vengeance that, in his twisted mind, isn't just justified, it's essential. LOTSO never forgot what happened to him. The pain of Daisy's rejection never left his mind, but instead of healing from his emotional wounds and moving on, he transformed that pain into fuel for his revenge. And when he arrived at Sunnyside, he saw the perfect opportunity to put his plan into action. LOTSO isn't just seeking punishment. He wants everyone to feel what he felt. He wants to make sure that no toy ever goes through the same experience of being abandoned by a child, but in a completely distorted way. He doesn't just want to get even with those who betrayed him. He wants every toy to share his bitter view of life, where love and affection from owners are nothing more than than fleeting illusions, and where survival is the only thing that matters. A survival where he is the absolute ruler. Lotso's revenge isn't just against Daisy, it's against the very idea of love between toys and children. When Woody and the others arrive and begin to unite in an attempt to escape, Lotso sees it as a direct threat to his empire. He refuses to let any toy have the chance to be rescued or loved again. To him, any toy that tries to resist his rule is a traitor, and the punishment will be merciless. As the story unfolds, what seemed to be a warm welcome and the promise of a new home quickly turns into a treacherous trap. Lotso, with his charming smile and cuddly teddy bear appearance, begins weaving a web of manipulation and control, one darker than anyone could have imagined.
But remember, they'll say anything to make you doubt yourself.
He rules Sunnyside like a true dictator. In his world, obedience is the only law, and instead of finding a safe haven, toys are turned into puppets in his hands, trapped in an endless cycle of fear and submission. Lotso makes newcomers believe in the dream of a happy place, a paradise of love and joy. He fills them with lies and false hope, making them think they finally found what they longed for after the painful abandonment of their former owners. But soon, the illusion shatters, and Lotso's true nature begins to emerge. He preys on the fears of others, especially Big Baby, convincing them to help him imprison the new arrivals. Lotso manipulates them into believing that his way is the only way to survive. But in reality, he's acting purely out of personal revenge, vengeance that he sees as the only way to restore what he lost. What seemed like a simple organizational system soon turns into a true psychological prison. Lotso separates the new toys, Woody, Buzz, and their friends, and throws them into the dreaded Caterpillar Room, a place of torment where Sunnyside's wild children do everything they can to destroy any remaining trace of joy or dignity the toys might have left. And the worst part? Lotso watches, not with concern, but with pure satisfaction. He doesn't see the toys as sentient beings with feelings and needs. To him, they are merely objects to be used, discarded, and tested. Lotso's cruelty doesn't stop there. Instead of offering any compassion or mercy, he observes their suffering with a sinister grin. To him, it's all a test, a trial of endurance. The weakest toys, those who refuse to submit to his control, are punished without pity. And Lotso doesn't just break them physically, he breaks them psychologically. He manipulates the emotions of the other toys, feeding their insecurities, planting the seed of doubt, and creating an environment where anyone can be replaced, discarded, and ultimately forgotten. What makes Lotso even more terrifying is how calmly he executes his plans. Every word and every action makes it clear, there is no escape. No owners means no heartbreak. That is the foundation of his tyranny. What makes Lotso such a compelling villain is his ability to deceive those around him. He doesn't just rely on physical strength, he uses his manipulative charm to subjugate others. Lotso doesn't simply want power over Sunnyside, he wants to crush any hope that toys can be loved or have a real bond with their owners. He convinces himself that his pain and rejection are universal, and he makes sure to spread this pessimism among the other toys, turning Sunnyside into a place of true oppression. With his persuasive speeches and psychological dominance, Lotso makes toys believe that the only way to overcome their past is to accept the idea that they are nothing more than trash waiting to be thrown away. He uses this ideology to justify his cruel actions and ensure that his control over the toys remains absolute, with no room for opposition. And this is precisely what makes Lotso such a real threat. He isn't just the physical villain of the story, he is the psychological villain.
You all get ready. You got a play date with destiny.
Deep down, Lotso's plan for revenge is the culmination of his obsession, his resentment, and his pain. He seeks the destruction not just of those who hurt him, but of the entire concept of love and affection between toys and children. To Lotso, revenge isn't just a response to his suffering, it's a way to create a new world, one where no toy will ever be left behind again. And yet, in this world, everyone is condemned to live in an endless cycle of pain and loneliness, where Lotso holds absolute control. On multiple occasions throughout the film, Lotso demonstrates a possessive and controlling nature. He cannot bear the thought that Woody and his friends might end up in loving hands again, with new children who will cherish them. When he looks at Woody, Lotso doesn't just see a lost toy, he sees a reminder of everything he can never have again, a representation of everything he lost and how it consumes him. LOTSO cannot allow Woody and his friends to expose the truth about Sunnyside or reveal what really happened to him in the past. His jealousy prevents him from accepting that other toys might still have a chance at happiness. This jealousy is evident in his complicated relationship with Big Baby. At first, Big Baby is loyal to LOTSO, but as Woody begins to expose the truth, we see that LOTSO's jealousy isn't just about Daisy's abandonment, it's also about control. He cannot tolerate the idea that any other toy could take away his authority or offer Big Baby a different form of love. In essence, LOTSO wants to be the only source of love and validation for the toys around him, and when his tyranny is challenged, his response is ruthless and cruel, even destroying the bond he once had with Big Baby.
What? You want your mommy back? She never loved you. Don't be such a baby!
At every step, LOTSO demonstrates how jealousy can be a destructive force. He cannot accept that other toys might have positive experiences with children, so he tries to control everything, even going so far as to crush Woody and his friends' hopes of finding happiness again. His jealousy drives him to commit acts of extreme cruelty, such as when he rips off Daisy's name tag, trying to erase any emotional connection the toys might still have with their past owners. In the end, jealousy is one of the most powerful forces behind LOTSO's transformation into a villain. The loss of love and the feeling of being replaced by something newer and better devastated him so much that he didn't just reject love, he sought to destroy any trace of it. LOTSO became a bitter shadow of what he could have been, incapable of allowing other toys to be loved because he was trapped in his own resentment and bitterness. LOTSO is not just a villain because of his cruelty and manipulation, he is a villain because of his inability to cope with jealousy. This jealousy is the key to understanding his obsession with control, his need to keep everyone under his rule, and, above all, his relentless pursuit of revenge. LOTSO's story reaches an emotional and symbolic climax, one where he finally faces the true consequences of his actions. His journey, marked by revenge, jealousy, and an obsession with control, culminates in a fate that, while physical, also serves as moral justice, the moment of LOTSO's death. It's important to note that LOTSO's death isn't literal in the immediate physical sense. Like any great villain, he believes he is in control of his life, of the other toys, and even of his own emotions. He is convinced that his vision of a cruel and disposable world where toys are nothing more than objects to be used and discarded is the ultimate truth. But life has a way of delivering justice, and for LOTSO, the end does not come in a glorious showdown. Instead, it arrives in the most ironic way possible, as a reflection of everything he stood for. It all unfolds at the landfill, where Woody and the others face a desperate fight for survival. They are pulled toward the terrifying incinerator, a place that represents oblivion, destruction, and the final end. LOTSO, who always preached that toys were meant to be thrown away, suddenly finds himself in a situation where his own philosophy is about to consume him. At a crucial moment, LOTSO is presented with a choice. He can save Woody and the others by pressing the emergency stop button. He has the chance to redeem himself, to prove that he is more than just the villain he has become, but instead, he refuses. This decision is the defining moment of LOTSO's character. In one final act of bitterness, he looks Woody in the eyes and sneers. "Where's your kid now, Sheriff?" This line is more than just an insult. It is the ultimate proof of how far LOTSO has fallen. He has become so consumed by his own pain and resentment that he actively chooses destruction over salvation. And then comes the ultimate irony. Just as Woody and the toys are about to meet their end, the aliens save them with the iconic claw, one of the most hopeful and symbolic moments in the entire Toy Story saga. But LOTSO is left behind. His end is not dramatic. There is no epic final battle, no explosive climax. Instead, he is simply picked up by a garbage man and tossed into a trash truck. Just like that, LOTSO, who spent his entire life treating toys like disposable objects, becomes one himself. This final abandonment is the perfect punishment for LOTSO. After spending so much time preaching that toys are worthless, he finally becomes what he always feared: a discarded toy, forgotten, left to rot in the trash. The image of garbage, waste, and disposal becomes the ultimate metaphor for what LOTSO has become. A toy who lost all his humanity, compassion, and ability to love. It's a tragic yet fitting end. LOTSO, who was once loved, is now treated like garbage. He no longer has the power to rule Sunnyside. He no longer has control over other toys. He is left to face the same loneliness and abandonment that he once inflicted on others. In the end, LOTSO's true death is not just physical, it is the death of his twisted worldview. He believed that love had no value, but in the end, love is what saved Woody and the others. He believed that all toys were destined for the trash, and in the end, only he was thrown away. LOTSO's fate is not just the fall of a villain, it is the poetic justice of a character who, in trying to escape his past, ended up creating his own destruction.